Welcome to another episode of File on the Play. We are back after the holidays and whatnot. I'm your host, Kristy Love, and I have my co-host, Dan from the Three Kings podcast. How are you?
What's happening? How you doing today?
I'm doing good. Man, look, we have
Well,
so
hold
much
on. Before we
to talk.
start, I got a question.
Yes.
When do I get to be on the intro?
I can have somebody add you on here. I just need a couple of photos of you looking surprised, looking upset, looking, a couple
And that
of
shouldn't be hard. That shouldn't be hard with
expressions,
what we've
and
been
then we
dealing
can
with.
go ahead and add you on there because
Yeah.
you're part of the show now, so you got to be on there. Period. But we have a lot to talk about. A lot to talk about. So much has happened in Bears Nation, and child, before I get into it, please make sure you guys follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter. I am Kristy Love, and follow me on TikTok at Kristy Love Sports. And you can follow Dan.
At Danikin underscore DG3, of course. Three Kings of the Midway podcast as well.
And then make sure you guys follow Team MBS Media on all social media platforms. Check us out on the web, teammbsmedia.com. Check out our podcast shows, YouTube shows, articles, everything. We have everything for y'all. All right. But before we get into the podcast, as you all may know, I went to the Detroit Lions game this Thanksgiving. It was my first NFL game, and even though the Bears lost, I expected us to lose. It was a great game. It was a nail biter. I had a very good time. I even ran into my co-host Dan um, as I was leaving the game. It was so good to finally meet you.
Yeah, it was fun. We had a good time, man. It was the game was crazy. It was a lot going on. You had a
Yeah.
swing of momentum, and the pendulum shift was crazy in the
Yes.
game. You go from one extreme to the other, from
Yes.
low to high to very low. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it is what it is. Got to run into you at the end of the game. It was dope seeing you. Like I said on Twitter, she's a lot shorter in person. People, she's very short. So
Dan is tall in real life. He's like 6'4", and
no, not
I'm
that
five
tall. I'm like
foot.
6'2" maybe.
And I'm 5 foot. I'm very small and petite, but nonetheless, it's good to kick it with people on Twitter. So it was good kicking it with you.
Yeah, it was
So
fun.
outside of that, it happened.
Yeah.
It freaking happened. It
Mhm.
happened. The Chicago Bears did something they never done before. As we all know, they fired Matt Eberflus after that horrendous game against the Lions. Okay, look, like I just said, we both was there at the game, right?
Mhm.
It wasn't a blowout, which I expected. So that's a good thing, right? But
Right.
let's fast forward to the last 30 seconds of the game, because at this point we were down 3 points. All we needed to do was to get in field goal range. We needed 5 yards to get inside field goal range. We're moving the ball, we're moving the chains, we're moving down the field. You know what I'm saying? We had 32 seconds left on the clock, and we needed 5 yards, y'all. 5 yards. So I think the second to last play or the last play of the game, when Caleb threw that ball to DJ and DJ he didn't catch the ball. There was two people on the left side that could have caught the ball. DeAndre Swift was at the 5 yard mark where we need to get the field goal, wide open. And then next to him, I think he had double coverage though, was Cole Kmet on the
Mhm.
left side as well. And he could have caught the ball because how big he is.
Yeah.
But what happened? Coaching decided to go ahead and have Caleb throw the ball down the middle. Now people are blaming Caleb because he could have caught a timeout, but Caleb said in a press conference that he pretty much trusted in his coaches to tell him what to do. He didn't want to overstep his boundaries, I guess, and call a timeout or do what he thought was right. And he looked for help, and Flus didn't help him out. So he threw the ball, and that was the end of the game. And it makes it 20 times worse because it was on Thanksgiving and over 40 million people were watching the Bears have another meltdown all across the world. And it's just like, and I said this on our last pod, Flus is cooking up another stupid reason for us to lose the game. And that's exactly what he did. So he deserved to get fired. He should have got fired for that Hail Mary, if you ask me. I'm just glad he got fired, but you were there in person. What were your thoughts when it happened?
Well, yeah,
I know.
par for the course. You know what I'm saying? Like with this team, with Eberflus, with the coaching, with the staff we've been dealing with, game after game after game. Was I surprised by it? Absolutely not. Was I upset by it? Yeah, of course. You know what I mean? You think you have a chance to do something, maybe tie this game up, go to overtime, whatever. You know, let's just be real about it though. We fast forwarded to the last 30 seconds, but you know, there's things that happen on the way to that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true.
The so while Eberflus is at fault, he's clearly at fault. I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna side skirt the issue and act like nobody else was at fault. Tevin Jenkins, hands to the face, that
Yeah,
backed us up.
yeah,
You know
that
what I
penalty.
mean? We were clearly in field goal range. We wouldn't have had that issue if it
That's
wasn't
very
for that
true.
hands to the face penalty. And
That's
then you
very
take a
true.
sack on the very next play after that. And you know what I mean? Those are the things that you can't do. You can't take that sack. You can't, and I
Yep.
know it was, I don't know, it might have been a QB draw or something like that or whatever, but it's just not a good, everything that they were doing was just not good at that situation. And it lends evidence to the fact that it took a timeout, recomposed everybody. And I don't care what you say. Caleb can say that he's not nervous and things like that, but he was flustered in that moment,
Yeah,
and it
he
was
was.
clear to see. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
He was, doing way too much. It was too much stuff going on, and it's like, man, just call a timeout for the kid. You know what I mean? He is a rookie. Let's not act like he's supposed to be able to get through it. But at this point in the season, 10, 11, 12, 13 games into the season, you should kind of be getting it under control. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So, and I'm not placing all the blame on him. So please, people, don't, you know what I mean? Don't think that's the case, because your coaching staff has to really prepare you for moments like that, right?
Exactly.
Michael Jordan, a famous quote that he said was, I prepare, I prepare, I prepare, I prepare. When the moment happens in the game, it's like I've already been here. You see what I'm saying? So these game time situations, these end of game situations, and clock running out, and last minute stuff, all of this stuff. Obviously, this team is ill prepared for that type of football. You know what I mean, to be played,
Yeah.
and a lot of that falls on the coaching staff. So I was good. I was glad to see him go. Um, he was well deserved at this point in time. I mean, there's just too many issues, and I think the biggest problem that I have with Eberflus is not that you make a mistake, right? If you make a mistake, you're actually trying to win a game. You make a mistake, so be it. It happens. But his problem to me was that he never accepted accountability. It
Mhm.
was always, yeah, I think we did everything right.
I don't
No,
do
you
it again.
didn't. No, you didn't.
And
like
he'll say he'll do it
there's
again too.
nobody there's nobody on earth besides yourself that would say you did the right thing in that situation. You know what I mean? So,
Absolutely. Yep.
it's like, man, come on, bro. Like you gotta accept that responsibility. And he seems to be like what the kind of guy that can't do that. You know what I mean? Um, I've alluded to it a couple times with you see this happening, and it's similar to what was happening with Matt Nagy.
Mhm.
Everybody was like on his case, on his case, on his case.
Yeah.
Then he start wanting to try to grab for straws, just grasping at the air, trying to get credit for any and everything that went right. And that's what you saw Eberflus doing, towards the end of his tenure with Chicago. I'm glad it's over with, man. Maybe we can move forward and try to figure some things out. So it is what it is. I wasn't surprised by the game, though. I really wasn't. Par
I
for the
was just
course.
surprised that it wasn't a blowout. Because Detroit has been blowing people out by like 30 points for the past couple of weeks. So I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah. I
But
chose Chicago to win. I'll be honest, I chose Chicago to win. And the reason being is because it's always it seems like division games, I don't care if you're blowing people out or whatever. Most of the time these division games teams play each other very well.
that's very true.
Um so,
The only, the only reason why if the Bears would have won is because Detroit has lost like what 7 Thanksgiving games in a row, I
yeah,
believe.
not
So
anymore.
yeah, besides this, yeah, but I don't know. I didn't have us winning regardless because Detroit is just that good. And then also back to what you said about that penalty. The Bears are just not disciplined, in my opinion, because we always have these silly penalties like week after week after week, in my opinion. So
Yeah.
that shows a lack of discipline for your team. Of course, we know the team doesn't really or didn't really care about Flus. They didn't respect him. They didn't like
No.
they didn't care about him. For an
Well,
example, Jaquan Brisker. It's clear
yeah.
as day that man hated Flus guts for weeks. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Um, and I said it after that Washington game. Flus lost the locker room then. Like that just added the extra layer to it. Um, so Flus just had to go. Like, and I said on my TikTok video, I don't know what else more Flus had to do to show them that this is not it. Like in the press conference between Poles and Kevin Warren, they said how they didn't know they was going to fire him after Flus did that press conference. And it's just like, I don't believe that because Flus made too many mistakes, like you even said. And it's mistakes that cost us the game. Like a lot of games we lost for like by 7 points or less. Very winnable games.
Hmm.
And tell me all from the bye week up until now, y'all didn't know y'all was gonna fire this man after how we lost. That just doesn't make sense. But like I said, I'm glad it happened. Finally, it shouldn't have took this long though.
I don't know.
It shouldn't. But I'm
You
glad
got
it
a
happened.
lot of stuff that goes. You got a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, man. People think they're privy to everything, and they want to see this happen and this happen and this happen. That's one of the things that I took exception to. I know there's a lot of people that was talking about, oh well, how they fired him was wrong because they let him do this press conference, and they
Mm-hmm.
want accountability. Why did this happen? And I'm like, I don't care how they fired him at this point. It doesn't matter. Like, what does that matter? You know what
Right.
I mean? I promise you, and the media, Chicago media, whoever wants to say it, they could go out there and say, well, it doesn't look good from an optics view, and somebody else may look at that and say, oh, they'll do me like, man, look, jobs in the NFL, head coaching job, it's only 32 of them, right?
Yeah,
So it's only 32 jobs there. So when you get offered the job, especially with the roster that the Bears have, they have talent. Let's not get it twisted, right? So it's not
absolutely.
like you're walking in and the cupboard is bare and you're gonna have to, somebody's gonna walk into a pretty decent situation when it comes to players, contracts, money, all of that type of stuff. So it's not like this is gonna be a job that's people are gonna balk at and be like, no, because y'all fired. Man, everybody knew he should have been fired. Other coaches in the ring around the league knew it. You know what I mean? And and
Yeah,
people were basically waiting for this job to be open because I believe that there will be several candidates that want to play or not want to play, but want to coach this roster. So I'm not worried about that.
I understand.
Not at all.
I understand completely. Um, let's talk about Jalen Johnson. As you all, well, it's rumored because they definitely asked him on his interview on Monday that he pretty much cussed out Flus after the game. And I believe it because I'm not sure if you saw it, Dan, but it was a clip of the media talking to Kyler Gordon. And Jalen Johnson was sitting behind him like he was just stuck with this look on his face. And he looked like he was visibly upset.
Mm-hmm.
So I believed he let Flus have it because, as you know, he has been on this team the longest, or yeah, but the longest I want to say. And he went through all of the trials and tribulations with the Bears. So I understand where he's coming from as far as like what are we doing? Like, I'm tired of losing like this. You're costing us games. You know what I'm saying? I understand that. And I feel like that pretty much forced them to fire Flus, because I feel like if they didn't come down on Flus like that, he might still be here.
I don't know. I don't know, but like I said a long time ago, man, the locker room,
Mm-hmm.
you could see it turn. I could see
Yeah,
when there was a difference in the defense and how the defense played. They
you
start giving up some things that were kind of tuning him out a little bit, in my opinion. Um, I think one of the biggest things was the whole Tyreek Stevenson thing, right? Your defense, you've been leaning upon your defense the whole time. They've been handling people, keeping people low scoring, keeping you involved in the games, and you're squandering the opportunities, right? And when you turn around and you kind of use Tyreek Stevenson as a scapegoat to get
Mhm.
that pressure off of you, he deflected some of what he did wrong in that game and shined a bright highlighter, put a light on Tyreek Stevenson when he wanted to suspend him, or not suspend him, but bench him, and then you know what I mean. Talk about it in the press conference how you want to help him become accountable and hold himself accountable. Like those are the types of things that lose the locker room
Mhm.
because the coach is not accepting responsibility for what he did, right?
Right.
And I'll go back to it, and people was like, oh no, Tyreek, and the fans and the media, they was all on Tyreek, and that's fine,
It
right?
was.
He was wrong. I'm not saying he was right in anything he did. He wasn't paying attention, but you know what? At the end of the day, he's the only person from the Bears team that got his doggone hand on the ball,
That's true.
even when he wasn't paying attention.
That's very true. Yep.
So it is what it is. And then here's the other thing when it comes to that. You got a ton of coaches on the sideline, and it's not just Eberflus. It's a lot of coaches. It's guys up top in the booth. Everybody's watching. Nobody saw Tyreek not paying attention. You know what I'm saying? To
So
me, they should have called a timeout. They had one in pocket then.
they
They
had
could
three
have called a timeout and regrouped. You know what I mean? And it's not just Tyreek. I said it back then when it happened. Um, Tremaine Edmonds,
of them.
he was conversating with who was it? I forgot who he was talking. Jalen Johnson. Him and Jalen Johnson were going back and forth trying to figure out who we doubling on this play. Who we doing this to? You know what I mean? This is what I'm talking about. This is not being prepared. And if you're looking at or you're on the sideline and you see your team is not doing what they ought to be doing, your defense, he's calling the defense. Flus is right. You don't see them, running communication, and it's not really they're confused. Everybody else can see it in the stadium except you. Call a timeout, man. Regroup your guys, man. You know what I mean? And he didn't do that. So that's one error that he did in that game. The other error was giving up 15 yards the play before.
Yeah.
Playing off and giving up 15 yards. These are the things that you didn't hold yourself accountable to. And I said it when he said we benching him. I said, well, who's holding you accountable? Because you side skirted the issues that you have. Everything I would have did everything perfectly the same way. What if Tyreek came out and said I would have did everything the same? No, he apologized to the team. He apologized to the fans. Said he was going to learn from it and get better. Right?
Right.
To me, you should have supported him, and they would have supported you. But when you
Absolutely.
scapegoat your team, your players, they ain't got no respect for you. They're not going to have respect for you. Don't ask me to do something.
You
Don't
can't do
expect me to do something that you're not doing. You know what I mean? You got to be the example, and he's not.
it.
He
Lead by
wasn't.
example. Lead
Yeah.
by example. And he never did.
No.
So I guess it's safe to say that this is like one of the best decisions in the past couple of years the Bears have made by firing Flus in season. Like I've been saying it. So now he's
Everybody
gone.
wanted it in season. In season. Give it to us in season.
Yes,
Fire
because
him
that
now.
shows that was me. Because that shows that you're taking this very seriously. Keeping Flus and for whatever reason and dragging it out didn't make sense.
Yeah.
He's
I
gonna be
mean, it is what it is. You
why
got
drag
you
it
got
out?
I look at it and people are still on Poles, man. I still believe that Poles has his hands tied to a certain degree. Not saying that they were saying don't fire Flus. I
Mm-hmm.
think the ownership is not really keen. They're not really happy about paying somebody to go home. You know, Flus is still getting a check this week, people. You know what I'm saying? He's still
The
getting
next
this
2 years,
paid.
he getting paid for the
Yeah,
next two
he's still
years.
getting paid. So you know, I don't think the ownership and the Bears, just knowing how their ownership operates, I'm not sure that they're happy with that, right? So I'm not saying that they were saying don't fire him, but I'm like, let's put it off. Let's hold off. Let's hold off. You know what I mean? Type situation. So, it is what it is, man. I don't know how tied his hands are. So it's hard for me to
Mhm.
cast a look at Poles with a side eye and be like, what you doing? You know what I mean? Like a lot of people are right now, but I just until I have proof that, hey, not saying ownership is fully involved. I'm just saying the Bears are a little bit cheap, man. Let's just be real about it.
Yeah,
You know
they're
what I'm
very
saying?
cheap. Not a little bit,
So,
but a little bit, very
you
cheap.
know,
They're very
they
cheap.
could tie his hands like, hey, man, we know this ain't going right, but I don't really want to pay him to go home. You know what I'm saying? So,
That's just
yeah.
nonsense. That's nonsense. If he's not producing what you thought he was going to produce, let him go. That's a part of the job. If you
Yeah,
ask me, the McCaskies need to go. They been need to go.
man,
It's just
please. Why would they sell their team though?
they need to. What they doing? What are they doing to help the
They
team?
making money.
Man, please.
They
Yeah, they
making money.
are.
At the end of the day, they making money. That's what it is. It's a business. Like
I
people need
get
to
that.
realize that. I know we love the Bears, but it's a business, man. Like, would you sell the team if you owned it?
We need a boycott or something because, like, I'm sick of it. Like, for one, we've been hearing about this new stadium for the Bears for the past, I don't know how long, 2 years now. And they was going to Arlington Heights. Then I guess they're not. They're going to stay where they're at. They're going to build a dome on top of the Soldier Field. They're going to Bronzeville. They don't know what they want to do. And
Yeah,
then,
it's negotiating, man. That's all it is.
huh?
It's negotiations.
They need to hurry up and negotiate and figure it out.
They gotta apply
If
pressure
they
to different
if they
cities.
really about their money, the McCaskies build a dome stadium, host concerts, host the Super Bowl.
I
You
mean,
know,
I'm sure that's coming. That's
and then
coming.
if
That's
they about
definitely
their
coming.
money, they'll get it done, and it's
That's
not done
coming.
yet.
It's coming, but it's you gotta. I mean, it's you talking about $1 billion stadium, man. Like, where's that money coming from? They got to negotiate with the cities. You got to get the cities on board. Some of the city got to pay for a little bit of this, a little bit of that. They got to raise some taxes. There's a lot that goes into it. So I
And
mean, I
not in
understand that
Chicago.
process because I've lived in two cities. I lived in Dallas for a little while when
Um,
they built AT&T Stadium. Jerry Jones did, and I've been in Atlanta now. I'm in them build Mercedes Benz. And there's a little bit of posturing that goes on. You know what I mean? Well, we gonna do it this way. We're leaving. We going over here. We going to Flowery Branch or whatever. Everybody knew Atlanta was gonna stay in Atlanta. You know what I mean? They're not going to Flowery Branch. Come on. The practice facility is out there. That's fine. But you know what
mhm.
I mean? We're staying in Atlanta. So, it's the same thing with the Bears. I think they're posturing. Everybody's, trying to flex a little muscle and try to negotiate and get money and so on and so forth. You got to get the support from the fans. You got to get the city, the council, all of that type of stuff. So it's a bunch of minutia, man. That's all it is.
Get support from the fans is crazy because the
And you
fans are
got to
not
have it.
happy right
I
now.
mean, if the support from the fans wanting to pay for it is not going to be there if the team is how they are now,
That's
right?
very true. That's very true.
you
Yeah.
gotta you gotta win some games in order for your fans to really get behind it and push it. Push the envelope and say, yeah, we want this new stadium. But of course, I know some fans do, the diehard ones, but you need everybody involved. You need the whole city behind you.
Absolutely. I feel like if they stay in Chicago, they will have more people supporting the new stadium. But we'll
I don't.
see.
I think everybody's gonna support. I think the biggest thing to me
Hmm.
why I want them to stay in Chicago. Don't go to Arlington Heights. Don't go to wherever. Stay in Chicago, in my opinion. And yeah, some people, I don't want to walk this parking lot. Blah blah blah. it is what it is. But you know what? At the end of the day, the city of Chicago deserves that money. The businesses around there, all the bars that make tons of money off of Bears football in the fall. You know what I mean? Like let them keep making money, man. You know what I mean? So, you would go to a different area and all of a sudden, stuff would happen, build up over there. But a lot of the businesses that reap the rewards of having this team in the city of
Mhm.
Chicago, even the people, the city itself. You know what I mean? Some of
Right.
the fans and the property value that could go up, all this types of stuff. Like I think everybody in Chicago, I'm always for the city benefiting. You know what I mean? And the people of Chicago benefiting. So that's why I wanted to stay in
Right.
Chicago.
Okay. We'll see what happens. I do want to touch on that press conference that happened yesterday
Mm-hmm.
with Ryan Poles and Kevin Warren. A lot of people are talking about one incident during that press conference when the reporter had asked Poles about, firing Shane
Mm-hmm.
Wardren. And Ryan Poles had this, like, we'll say 5 to 6 second pause
Mm-hmm.
before he answered the question. A lot of people thought it was awkward. Um, I watched it again because I saw it initially when it happened. I believe he was just trying to get the right words out so he
Mm-hmm.
don't butcher anything. And you know how the media want to take something and run with it, and then it's
Yeah.
all over TV, the news, the internet. Um, I'm not even sure why they brought up Shane, and he's been gone for like weeks now.
Well, because
But
the media has this narrative that they're running. They want Poles out of there. Let's just be real. There's a lot of people that's calling for his job. It's some of
that's
media.
true.
It's some of, and I'm not knocking media because you got to ask the hard questions, and of course those questions need to be asked. But those questions should have been asked a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? Why would you ask those questions now after
Yeah.
Waldron's been fired and now Eberflus has been fired? Like what? We
Wait,
talking
hold
about
on.
Eberflus. In my
Did
opinion.
they come out and talk when they fired Shane? Now think about it.
I mean,
Ryan.
I'm sure they had an opportunity to ask some questions about it at some point in time. I don't know if they
Okay,
came out and talked. I don't think so, but somebody would have been able to ask that question at some point in time.
that's true. That's true.
But you know what I mean. It is what it is. Like I said, it's a lot of people that's calling for his job now. I'm not in that boat as of right now, but I understand why people were doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people just want to see heads roll. But I caution people before you say fire polls, understand what that means when you say fire polls. When you say fire polls, bring in a new GM. The new GM is not going to see this roster the same way that Poles sees it. The new
He's gonna
GM may
coach up.
not like some of the players, right, that you have.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
now you've dedicated money. You paid Jalen Johnson. You paid Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards. You brought in Sweat, you paid him. So now if a new coach comes in and it's like, nah, this ain't the roster, you know what I mean? I want not a new coach, but a new GM, right? So because the
mhm,
GM's task is to really build a roster and build a roster through his vision, right? So
yeah,
every GM has a different vision. And when you come in, I mean, you start stripping stuff away. I don't need that. I don't need that. All right, he's cool, but get him out of there. You know what I mean? It's the same thing Poles did. When Poles came in, he stripped it all the way down,
he did.
right?
He did.
And then he started piecing together what he wanted, right? So, you know, when you say fire the GM, trust me, people, that
Yeah, I love
means
that.
rebuild. That means rebuild.
And we're not there yet. We're
That's
in right
not
now mode.
yeah. Yeah, you're in a situation where you can win some games now, and if you have the right coach, I believe that can happen. So this situation that they find themselves in, the Bears do, is man, is huge. It's huge because you have to find the right coach right now. If
That's
you
crucial.
don't, if you don't, man,
That's it. If you don't find a coach, the right coach right now, that's it. Rebuild. I'm just being honest. I may be far fetched by saying that, but if we
what you
don't
mean?
find
Like, no, it's not
if you
that.
don't
You're
find the
right
right
though.
coach and we losing, you think these players gonna stay here that can ask for a trade? No,
First of all, if they ask for a trade, they don't necessarily get a trade. That's
that's
not.
true, but
That don't mean nothing to me.
let's be real.
You
They don't
ask
want to
for
be.
whatever you want.
They,
It's up to us to give it to you.
Pose brought these people in to win right now. If we get
Yeah,
another coach and it's a fail and we got to go into rebuild mode, that's wasting time. That's wasting Caleb's time because he on his second year. He's on his third OC. You're wasting time. You signed these people to win right now, and we're not doing so. And if I was a player on the Bears and that happened, I promise to God I will leave Chicago because the whole organization has been a bogus show.
yeah,
You know what I'm trying to say? A bogus show.
yeah.
Like for the past couple of years. And it's only getting worse. Flus is gone, so we'll see what happens come Sunday. But it's just been worse. It's bad. We've been the laughing stock of the league for like at least 2 years. At
Yeah.
least. So
Well,
if we
probably
get
longer than
another coach and it
that.
fails, what are we doing? What are we doing as an organization? There's
Hmm.
no trust in our GM. There's
Yeah.
no trust in the coach. There's no trust in Kevin Warren because you just came on this press conference on Monday afternoon and you want us to trust y'all to find the right coach. You're going to go through this intensive interviewing process and the whole nine, and you failed us again.
I'm not saying that's not. Don't pass judgment like they already failed already.
I'm not. I'm just
Okay.
saying if it would have happened, that's how a lot of us, players included, would feel. I'm just being honest.
Well, I mean,
Like,
if it fails, if you hire somebody and it doesn't work, number one, it's gonna have to be a two-year process. That's number one.
I understand
Whoever
that.
gets hired is gonna be a 2-year process. By that time, if it hasn't worked out, then yeah, it's gonna be rebuild
Yeah,
time because at that point in time, Poles probably gets fired, the new coach gets fired. You
yeah,
probably move on from Caleb. You know what I mean? I hate to say it, but I'm just being honest. You know what I'm saying? Because it's time to reset stuff. Or you could probably
that
you
sound
could
like there's
stick it
some
out with
bills.
him. You could stick it out with him like they did in New York with Daniel Jones. Not saying that he's Daniel Jones. I'm just saying if you don't develop this quarterback, if you don't get somebody in here, that's gonna do things and change the culture, the real culture of this football team, then you're gonna have a situation that in 2 years from now, after Caleb's third year, everybody's gonna be sitting around looking at each other like, okay, we're back at square one again. You know what I'm
Again,
saying? Yeah.
after having the number one draft pick twice, Caleb Williams was the best
Well,
draft pick.
we traded down. We didn't
We did.
pick two number ones. Okay.
We had and we traded back and we
Yeah.
got laughed at.
Laughed
We had
at.
one, didn't we?
No, why? Why we get laughed at for trading down? When we traded away, basically they took Bryce Young. We end up
Okay,
getting
no,
Caleb Williams
you're right,
because we
you're right,
traded
you're
back.
right.
Yeah.
I'm thinking
We
about
did a
I'm thinking
good
about
job with that
I'm
one. That
thinking
was
about
good.
something else. I'm thinking about my bad. No, I was thinking about when the Bears traded back. Never mind. But anyway,
Yeah.
um,
For Trubisky, you thinking about that probably?
yeah, that's on. Yeah, I am. But if we really waste this man's time like this after trading away Justin Fields, we'll be the laughing stock yet again. Because we had Caleb. Wasted his time. But there's no reason why right now he should be on his third or fourth OC in his rookie year, his second year.
Yeah.
Because we get a new coach.
He's on his second.
He gonna bring in his probably his own OC,
Of
his
course.
own team,
Of course.
another offensive scheme we have to learn. He has to
Hmm.
learn, defensive scheme, whatever. And it's just like it's his second year.
That's
It's
the
just
thing.
like
It's
just
gonna
like
be
him.
is
Just like
this is
him.
what you have though. You know what
And
I
it's
mean? It was the time to move on was last year, of course, right? When you
yeah,
could have moved on from Eberflus, and that's what a lot of people were pissed off about, which is
exactly.
understandable. I do
Me,
understand why they kept it status quo. I don't know,
yeah.
you know, he had 3 years left. They didn't really, like I said, his hands might have been tied a little bit. There might have been some encouragement. Yeah, let's stick with what we got. You know what I mean? Let's see if it'll work. You know what? He did go 5-2. You know what I mean? This is the conversation that happens. Those are the conversations. He did go 5-2 down the stretch. The defense looked good when he took over.
It did.
You know, maybe we can ride with Flus. Maybe we can give him another hire. And
That's
that's
how
what
we
they
knew
did.
we was effed up.
That's what they did.
That's how we knew the Bears was like bananas by keeping Flus another year with Caleb Williams, knowing the offense wasn't that good.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my opinion. But we're here now. It is what it is. So let me ask you this: how do you feel about Kevin Warren being as vocal as he was in a press conference, while Poles didn't really have much to say? Because in my opinion, they could have kept that presser. I didn't really give what I wanted to give. Maybe I expected too much. But what are your thoughts on Kevin being vocal about the coach search?
I mean, I'm fine with it. I trust Kevin Warren. I think he's got a nice track record of things that he's done. Accomplishments that he's had. He alluded to that a little bit in the press conference where he said, I've kind of done this before type of situation. We got to get the right guy and blah, 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 this, that, and the third. He said everything that I thought he would say, right? And Poles pretty much said what I thought he would say too. I mean, I don't think they deviated from the script that much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what was you looking for when you say
I just wanted them to answer the hard questions the media was going to ask about Flus, about the locker room drama, that whole nine.
You wanted them to say, yeah, well, the locker room went off on him and they cursed
I
him
mean,
out. No, they're not
something.
going. Come on,
I
that's
know,
not.
but I wanted to see how they was going to respond.
Yeah, you can't do that though. You know what I mean? Like what stays in the locker room stays in the locker room. You don't have to.
Yeah,
You don't have to
I think he
expose
did
that.
say that
You
too.
know, and then at the end of the day, when those types of reports come out, what's going to happen later on? They're going to say that they'll use that. The media, fans, they will use all of that stuff that comes out it spills out out of the locker room, right? And then the next thing you know, anytime Jalen Johnson has anything bad to say, is like, oh, this is his MO. This is what he does. He cursed the other coach out, blah, blah, blah. That fans and media are fickle like that. They go back and forth.
Right.
So they will take something that's okay, you liked him doing it, and then they'll turn around and hate him for doing it later on. You see what I'm saying?
I
So
get it.
that's why you keep a lot of that stuff in the house, man. That's locker room talk, man. We don't need to talk about that right now. You know what I
That's
mean?
true.
So
That's very
it
true.
is what it is.
Okay, and then after the press conference, I mean, I don't know. I guess I just wanted a little bit more dialogue into what happened, and
You wanted them to take full, yeah, we messed up. We blew this.
I won't say blew it, but like I don't know, just a little bit
I
more.
mean, it is what it is. I think everybody can see it for what it is, and they've done wrong. They've done the situation wrong. That's what Kevin Warren said. We're going to learn from the mistakes we made at this, right? So that's all you can do at this point. Anything else is just, to me, it's like crying over spilt milk, man. Like now we got to figure out the solutions. We got to figure out what we're going to do going forward. You got 5 games left. You got an interim head coach who's talking a good game and everybody loves it, right?
Yeah.
So what are you going to do there? Are you going to hire a whole new staff? Well, like what's going to happen? There's a lot that's going to go into this whole situation. I don't envy them. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't envy them because the decisions that they have to make are very difficult, number one. And number two, you can easily screw this situation up. They can easily mess it up.
Yeah.
Right? So, and if they mess it up, now you've ruined another quarterback. You know what I mean? So this is the situation that they've kind of pigeonholed themselves into, and it is what it is at this point. I don't envy them though. I don't envy either one of them, because even Kevin Warren stepping up saying, "Hey, I'm going to be involved in this," blah blah blah. Okay, now your head's on the chopping block too.
Mm-hmm.
If something doesn't go right, if you pick the wrong guy, well,
blaming
Kevin
you.
Warren, what you thinking? You know what I'm saying? What
Blame
Poles
you.
and Kevin, everybody got to go. Fire everybody. That's the
Yep.
Bears. That, and I say it, man. Like the fan base, the media in Chicago, they enjoy chaos. They love arguing,
Enjoy it.
fighting, and they love chaos, man. They do. It's crazy. Civil War, man. We have
It's
it every single
war.
offseason.
It's a war every week about Caleb and Justin Fields. I promise y'all.
And
It's
one
been
dude
like
ain't
this
even
since
playing
like
in
week
Chicago.
10
It's
last
crazy.
year. It's been like that. And I want to say something. It may be kind of off the rails, but if Poles and them really cared about what the fans think of this team, they would have kept Justin Fields. Because think about it. I know it's over. I want to say this. Think about it. The last game of the season, the crowd was yelling, "We want Fields, we want Fields." And then after the season ended in Hallis Hall, driving to Hallis Hall, they had all these signs of how they want to keep Justin Fields, but they still got rid of him. They don't care what we think. I feel like they don't, because if they did, they would have kept Fields. Like, I understand the whole reset the market and number one pick, but if you was really a raw GM, you would have fixed the line, because any quarterback will need a solid offensive line, regardless of who it is, and that was neglected in the draft. I just want to get that out.
I mean, yeah. I got a difference of opinion. I'm gonna say I'm gonna push back on it a little bit like this, right? Like
Mhm.
what I've always said is that I don't want my GM, I don't want the chairman of the team, I don't want the ownership, I don't want anybody bowing down to the media or to the fans. At
Yeah,
the end of the day, you got hired to do the job. Do the job.
absolutely.
I'm saying I don't need you acquiescing to the fan base, right? The fans are the fans. They're fanatics. That's what fans is short for.
Mm.
Fanatics. That's what they are, right?
Yeah,
So most of the time, fanatics are not thinking logically. You're hired, you're in that position to think logically and think these things out and go about it and do your business, right? If you don't do it, then you get fired and you move on or whatever the case may be. But at the same time, I don't want a coach or anybody that's kind of like bowing down to the pressure that fans or the media put on them, right?
right.
And I think Kevin Warren's not the type of guy that's gonna have that type of mentality. I think Eberflus is. I think Eberflus did buckle under the pressure. Prime example was that situation with Tyreek. You
Yeah,
know, fans, the media, they wanted blood. They wanted Tyreek got to pay. He was
that was just so
like,
dumb.
and
That
it's
whole
like, okay,
situation was dumb.
like to me, if I was Flus, I would have been like, look, man, we handled that in house. You know what I mean? I would have gave him a fine, hit him in his pocketbook. You know what I mean? Like
Kept
hit
it
his
moving.
hit his pockets, and then be like, all right, now we moving on. And you know what I mean? And that's that. But you have to have that mentality. You have to have that command of the room. And
Mhm.
that's what the Bears don't have. That's what the coaching search. What? Give me your opinion, because there's a lot of stuff that defensive, offensive. Like what kind of coach do you want?
I wouldn't mind a defensive-minded coach. Um, these I really at this point, I really don't care. But we always had like defensive coaches, so I guess the offensive mind wouldn't hurt, right? Um, let's get it right. That's my opinion. Let's get it right at this point, because it don't even matter if he's more heavy into defense or offense. Just make sure it's right. And if you're more of a defensive minded coach, bring in an OC that is like that, like up there, that can help the offense. Because coming to the Bears, you already know the Bears offense is bad.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a task that you have to willing to take on. If you're going to be a defensive minded coach, bring in the right OC. So at this point, it don't even matter. Just to get the job done.
Yeah, I mean, to me, what I want is the Bears culture is bad, right? We have a losing culture. We have a loser's mentality, losing culture, losing mentality. That's what we have. So I need a coach that's going to change that culture. And I'm not just talking about the type of people you bring in, upstanding individuals. That ain't what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the mindset has to change, right?
Mhm.
And I'm gonna give you a couple of examples of guys who are coaches and their team has followed them. Their team basically takes on their identity. Mike Tomlin,
Oh yes.
the team Pittsburgh is Mike Tomlin. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? You know, he goes in, he gets guys, and to me, I want to that's gonna go in. I don't. I think it's way blown out of proportion. Everybody wants to see an offensive coach. He needs an offensive minded coach to develop Caleb Williams. That's fine. I agree, and that's what your coordinator's for. That's what quarterbacks
Yeah.
coach is for as well.
Yep.
The head coach doesn't have to be that. To me, the head coach has to be the CEO. He has to run the team. He has to he has to get them to buy in. He has to demand excellence from his players, right? Um, he got to be a players coach. People got to like him. You know what I mean? He's got to be relatable to all the players. You know what I mean? Those are the things that you need. That changes the culture in the locker room. That
It
changes
does.
the mentality in the locker room. You know what I mean? Mike Tomlin, this is the way we play Pittsburgh football. This is what we do. Don't nobody deviate from it. You know what I'm saying? And he holds people accountable. He does this, he does that. He talks to the players. He's on their side. You know what I'm saying? Like all of these things. That's what you need. I want a CEO of the team. I want somebody that's going to lead. I need a leader of men, and I need somebody that puts his prints all over this football team,
Mhm.
not just an offensive mind to develop Caleb Williams. Yeah, you need that. You need that in your coordinator. So whoever that head coach is, you get your coordinator set up to develop the defense and the offense, so on and so forth. That's the truth. That's what you want. You want a guy who's gonna go in and get smart individuals and a
Mhm.
coaching staff around him to really make his footprint on this team. Another team that did it is Detroit. Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He got Ben Johnson, he got Aaron Glenn. You know what I mean? He lets them run the show. He's the CEO of the team though. He runs everything, right? Those
Mhm.
guys, he trusts those guys to do their jobs. He doesn't have to be, I'm developing somebody or anything like that, but he runs it. Now he's all over that team. He's all over Detroit. You know what I mean? We laughed at him, and I was one of the people laughing at him when he stepped up there to the podium when he first got hired, talking about biting kneecaps. Like, man, what is this dude talking about? But you know what? It worked. It worked in that locker
Mhm.
room, and
It
and
did.
that team has taken on his identity. They play like that. It's next man up. It's this. It's that. Their whole culture. And Detroit was a losing team. They were a
Yep.
losing culture like Chicago.
Yep.
So that's my thing. I just want a coach like that. I want somebody that's gonna come
Yes.
in, demand the respect, command the room, and have guys that follow him. You know what I'm
A
saying?
lot of people feel like that's Thomas Brown right now. How he commands the room, how he has this aura about him. He's accountable. Uh, it's just,
Man.
and a lot of people want him to be the Bears head coach coming next year. I'm just not for it because it's too much of a gamble. He doesn't have a track record, in my opinion. He has 3 games where he had coached the offense, and the offense did look better. But no, and then think about it. If the Bears win on Sunday, which the Bears very well can on the road, because sidebar, San Francisco has lost their last 3 out of 4 games. They just lost in Buffalo this past Sunday.
Mhm.
So and they're hurt. They're hurt.
Yeah.
So it's a good chance
And
based
shout
off of
out to
that.
Trent Williams, man. He I heard his
Oh yeah,
kid, his
that's
baby.
what
Yeah, newborn, man. That's sad news, bro.
a lot of
Like
them
I'm
young.
I'm sure he probably won't be playing Sunday, but man,
Yeah,
that you never
that's
want to hear
tough.
stuff like that. I
That's
feel bad
tough.
for him, man. Feel bad for him.
That's
But
tough,
yeah,
man.
man. Prayers
They're
up for
hurt.
him.
Players out. So
Yeah,
based on that, the Bears can definitely, if they play well, they can win. They can
yeah.
definitely win that game. And if we win that game, be prepared to hear more of that. Thomas Brown to be our head coach. It's just I'm not against it, I should say, but I don't think that's the right move the Bears should make. I'm pretty sure it's a lot of other coaches that will want to interview to be our head coach that has a really good track record. That
Yeah,
might be
I'm not gonna bang on his track record. I think it's it's incomplete, right? So like you're saying, it's an incomplete track record. There's nothing. It's no history of great
yeah,
play calling. It's no history of I'm a great. He fell into these two situations, right? And I feel bad. I feel good for him because he gets an opportunity, right? So
yes,
this is
absolutely.
to me what he's doing, what Thomas Brown is doing, and it's sad because ideally you'd be like, man, I hope I could win this job somehow, some way. But is he going to be the most qualified guy? I understand he's saying all the right stuff, and everybody loves him and this, that, and the third. But it's just a couple games in. He
Mm.
did have a whole bad half of play calling. You know what I mean? Let's not get it twisted. They
Hello,
turned it on at the end, but that first half, man,
was bad. Was
dude,
bad.
I was sitting there watching that game, and I'm sitting there like, you
Where
got to
is
be
he at?
kidding me,
Where's the
man.
play
You
calling,
got to
Thomas
be
Brown?
kidding me.
That's why I said in my
That
video, where you at?
uh,
Because it
you
was
know,
like
4 minutes
gone.
to go, and 4 minutes to go, and I think the Bears had like 34 yards total offense in the
Yeah,
4 minutes to go in the second half. So I mean
no
second
first
quarter, I
downs.
should say. So
No,
you know what I mean.
yeah.
You have that situation. I think basically that's what it boils down to. Who's going to be the best qualified candidate for this job? You got to cast a net and see who you can bring in here. See what type of coaching you can get, and whoever comes in as a coach, they got to know this roster and kind of be
And work
happy
with
with
it.
what you've
Hmm.
assembled, right?
Yeah, that can
And
work
say,
with
hey,
it.
we can make this work or whatever. So
I feel like any coach should be able to work with the roster because we have a lot of talent on this current roster right now. It's really coaching that's the problem. Coaching in the line. If we we need an edge rusher, but that's it. Like we have really good receivers. Our running backs are great. Our defense is great. Our secondary is good. Jalen Johnson is a beast. Like we're good. We just have to.
on paper, the Bears are good.
Yeah, we
You know what I
are.
mean? The
And defense,
names and stuff like that, that's all
yeah,
great, but it
yeah.
has to come together. And until it
And
comes together, I can't label them
we
good yet.
haven't really fully seen the team like play together because coaching,
Hmm.
play calling has always been an issue since day one.
Hmm.
So I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking, but if I could, I would keep majority of this team next year if I was a new head coach and work with what we have. Because on paper, we look really good.
Yeah.
We look really good. This team was built to win right now, and we're here. But next year, we should be able to be in the playoffs. Like no excuses whatsoever. None. There should be no excuse for play calling, no excuse for situational football, bad
Hmm.
penalties, challenges, none of that.
Yeah,
So,
I agree.
none. So we'll see. We'll see. So I have to ask: San Francisco win or lose?
I'm gonna say win. It's gonna be some enthusiasm. It's gonna be some energy, some renewed energy, you might say, in this team.
Mm,
I think they're gonna want to come out and they're gonna try to play good for the coaching staff.
yeah,
Um, just to show them love. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, like I said, this is an audition.
it is.
Thomas Brown, it's going to be hard for him to solidify his spot. And say, okay, the Bears' job should belong to me. That's a tall order, right?
Yeah.
Um, but he is interviewing, he is auditioning, you might say, as a play caller, as a interim head coach. He's auditioning for that, right? So he'll get picked up somewhere else or whatever, and so on and so forth. But you know, that's the thing. So I think guys are gonna kind of rally around him, try to make him look good as possible, as good as possible. The
Yeah.
same thing with Eric Washington. You know what I mean? He's taking
Yeah.
over the defense, so you know guys are gonna really try to put something in. We are going against San Francisco. They're hurt, they're battered, they're bruised right now. So
Hmm.
we do have a situation where they could possibly come out on top in this game. I take the Bears in this game, straight up.
I'll take the Bears too. Like I just stated, San Francisco lost their last 3 out of 4 games. They're hurt. They're not playing good football. They're having an issue with their coach. They think he should be fired. So
Fire him.
I'll take
I
him.
wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't. I
I,
wouldn't be
I,
opposed to y'all firing him. Go
I,
ahead,
I would definitely take him.
fire him. Pittsburgh too. Pittsburgh got some fans out there talking about they wanted Tomlin fired.
Yeah, they
Fire
trip.
Tomlin, please. Let him
Mike
go.
Tomlin, first of all, has never had a losing season. You don't want to fire that
18
man for
years,
what?
man.
Yeah,
18 years,
fire
no
him for
losing
what?
season. That's crazy.
For what?
It's
Y'all
crazy.
just yapping. Stop yapping.
Mm-hmm.
Because if y'all go far in the playoffs, oh no, we want to keep Tomlin. Like y'all need to be for real.
Right.
Tomlin is staying. But I have the Bears winning. If we lose, I will not be surprised. I wouldn't, but I think we can still win. All season, I've been saying the Bears are not going to win another game. But since Flus is gone, Shane is gone, new energy. They love Thomas Brown. Thomas Brown, he had the defense looking okay. I'm sorry, the offense looking okay. So we'll see. But,
We'll see, man. It's
we'll
gonna be
see. We
interesting.
still got Green Bay. We still got the Lions again. We got Minnesota. And we got we have Seattle. So that might be the only game we win for the rest of the year. Who knows? But right now, I have them winning. So before we go, let's go ahead and do our picks of the week.
Mm-hmm.
We have a great game on Thursday. We have the Green Bay Packers visiting Detroit. Who you got winning?
I'm gonna take Detroit.
I am too. I'm gonna take Detroit. They're good. Green Bay is good too, but Detroit got it. They at home too. Next, we have the Cleveland Browns visiting Pittsburgh. I got Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
See, New Orleans Saints visiting the Giants.
Saints.
Yeah, probably the Saints. Yeah, the Saints. Then we got the Jets visiting Miami.
The Jets in Miami. Man, Miami. I'm gonna take Miami.
I'm gonna go with the Jets on that one. You writing
That's a
these down?
horrible division, by the way.
Huh?
So that's a bad division. That NFC, more AFC East.
Mm-hmm.
They done Buffalo done clinched that division already. That's crazy.
I know.
Tells you how bad that division is horrible.
Next game, we got the Jaguars visiting Tennessee.
Man, another trash.
I know.
Tie. I'm taking a tie in that one. They both suck.
You gotta pick one. I'm picking the Jaguars. Just pick one.
I'm picking a tie.
Okay. Next, we got the Atlanta Falcons visiting Minnesota. I got Minnesota.
I'm taking ATL, and I'm gonna go Tennessee in that other game just for the heck of it.
Okay. Next game, we got the Carolina Panthers, who've been playing good football, but visiting Philly. I got Philly, but I do want to shout out Carolina. They almost beat Kansas City a couple of weeks ago. And I forgot who they played this past Sunday, but they almost won, but they lost an OT.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next game we have is the Raiders visiting Tampa Bay. I got Tampa Bay.
Yes, Tampa Bay. Same.
Next, we got the Seahawks visiting the Cardinals. I'm going to go with the Cardinals. But Seattle can definitely win that game.
I'm going to go Seahawks in that one.
Okay, next we got Bears, San Francisco. We both got the Bears.
Yeah.
That's a 325 game. Then we got the Bills visiting the Rams. I got the Bills.
Yeah, the Bills.
And then we have the Chargers visiting Kansas City for Sunday Night Football. I got Kansas City. The Chiefs, not the Chiefs. The Chargers might,
It's in Kansas City. Is that? It's in Kansas City.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Kansas City then.
And then for Monday Night Football, we got the Cincinnati Bengals visiting Dallas. I got Dallas.
I'm gonna go Cincinnati.
Yeah, give me Cincinnati because Dallas ain't good at all. At all. You wrote these down?
You can't go back. I already got you down for Dallas, so.
No, put me for Cincinnati. Change that. Well, that's our picks through week 14. Can you believe we're in week 14?
Yeah,
The
it's going
season is
by.
like
It's going
almost
by.
over.
Going by quick, man.
It went by so
Quick.
fast. Oh, we only got a few more games, and the Bears is off our TVs till August, September. I'm sad.
Nah,
We
don't be
waited so
sad yet.
long
We
to
still got
get
a little.
here, and we about to be off TV just like that. It's sad. It's like really, I should have known that they went to training camp and they had an extremely bad practice. I should have known then we were gonna be trash. Because that was a bad practice. Caleb had through like 5, 6 picks that practice. I promise to God he did.
Mm.
Dang, man, what's going
It
on?
happens though. That happens sometimes, man.
Yeah, but it's training camp, but it's like you wouldn't think that would carry over into the season.
Oh, it did.
It did. All right, well, that concludes another episode of Follow on the Play. Hopefully come next week, we will come on here and talk about a Bears win. We are on a 6-game losing streak right now, y'all. It's been rough.
Fun times.
We even fired our OC. We even fired our head coach. We have an interim head coach who was our OC at one point in time. It's a lot going on. So hopefully come next week, we'll have some good news. Yeah. So make sure you guys follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at I'm sorry. what's my Twitter name? I'm tweaking. You can follow
Kristy
me.
Love Sports or something, right?
You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and I am Kristy Love. You can follow me on TikTok at Kristy Love Sports. Where can they follow you?
At Danikin _ DG3. And then, of course, Three Kings _ Midway for the Three Kings in the Midway podcast. We'll be recording that tomorrow. Having
Let's
some
go.
content for you guys tomorrow. Of course, check in and stop with us this week. I couldn't do it last week, but we have the spaces that we'll be doing during the game, before,
Yep.
during, and after the game. Didn't do it last week because I was in Detroit watching that watching that whole thing play out. But yeah, check us out, man. And then of course follow NBS Team NBS Media
Absolutely.
everywhere. YouTube, Twitter, whatever.
Instagram,
Tons
TikTok,
of shows,
Facebook.
tons of everything. Power ranking
And check us
shows,
out.
into the college sports, everything. They do it all.
Yeah, college sports too. Heavy on
Yeah.
college football and basketball. So
Sure.
go Longhorns, by the way.
Yeah, Longhorns, Notre Dame, all of them. Yeah, let's get it.
All right, y'all. Until next time, bear down,
Take
baby.
it easy.
Bye. Oops. I'll edit that out. Bye, y'all. Oh my God, I want to play. Hold on. Bye, y'all.